What's up, everyone? Welcome to today's daily market recap. In today's episode, I'm going to break down all of my trades from the morning. I'm finishing the day right now up $50,869.31. That's a solid green day. 97,000 yesterday plus the 50 today, so up $147,000 on the week. Now, this puts me in really good shape on the month. So, as of right now, I'm up over $500,000 on the month of September. That is 5 times more than I made in the whole month of August. And the reality is, I've made all of this profit just in the last 7 days. Because the first week of September, I was down $1,400. Last week was super hot. Yesterday was hot. Today continues to be hot. However, today was a little different from yesterday. So let's start breaking it down. We'll jump onto the screen share, and I'm going to walk you through the trades that I took. So this morning, when I first sat down, our leading gapper, our leading gainer in the market was FGI, and it was actually up over 500%. This is another stock that squeezed up, interestingly, with no news. So the peak up here was 492%, so just under 500%, and it had no news. So this is a stock that I did take a trade on in the early pre-market session. This was the first trade of the day for me. I was sitting down watching it right through here, and as it broke through this level right there, I was like, that's the spot to be a buyer. And that gave us a really nice break, a squeeze from 2078 all the way up to just under 24, then a little pullback, and then a little pop up, and then a break here, and a second attempt at 24. Actually went up to a high of just over 24, $24.58. But it didn't hold up very well. So yesterday, if you recall, we had HSDT. HSDT, and we'll look at the 5-minute chart on this one, put in a really nice move at about 6:30. Similar price range, right? Kind of breaks out and all of a sudden goes from $26 a share to $50 a share. So when FGI started that squeeze, I was like, all right, here we go. This could be really big. And I was disappointed that it didn't pull away. So nonetheless, I broke the ice. That was my first trade of the day. I made $2,345.77. That is my smallest winner of the entire day. I went with slightly smaller size because the price was higher and I knew I was taking some risk on it, just given that last week, these higher priced stocks were not easy for me. So I'm glad that I reduced my risk, because what would have been really bad is if I took that trade with huge size and then, honestly, even with small size, it wasn't a big winner. So if I had taken big size, I might have ended up taking a loss on it. But nonetheless, my concern was that if I took big size and took a huge loss, that I'd be starting the day deep in the red, and that's not a good way to start the day. I want to start the day by building that cushion. So first trade of the day, $2,300 on FGI. Second trade of the day. Now, let's start to pull up the P&L. So this is where I sit today. Once again, accuracy, really solid. Green on 7 out of the 7 stocks I traded, $50,869.31. So the first winner was on FGI. Second trade that I took was on AIHS. Now, this was kind of interesting. AIHS hit the scanners on the early side, and I jumped in it at 384. That was my first position, and that was at about 6:55 in the morning. So we're going to back this one up. Oh, I see TURB. We're going to talk about that one because that's the stock I'm up the most on. However, it's being a little difficult, which is kind of frustrating. But anyways, we'll look at AIHS first. So AIHS, this one pops up at 625, pulls back, comes back up, pulls back, comes back up right here, 649, dips down, comes back up right here, dips down. I got in right here, and I was looking for the breakthrough 4. So I got in at 384, and it goes up and hits a high of $4, and it has a big seller right there at 4. It was not able to break, so I sold. I got in, I got out, locked up on that first trade. Let's see. The first trade was $1,000 of profit. It was a smaller winner. So I had a small win on AIHS. Then it dips down, and then it comes back up for the second attempt. I added back. And on that second attempt, we got a squeeze all the way up to a high of about 460, but then we came right back down. So on that second attempt, I made about $4,000. So I'm up $5,837.10 on AIHS. Good, but not phenomenal. I mean, nothing crazy. This did not go parabolic. It didn't give us that move like CHEK yesterday that went up $2 a share. It went up, but it didn't really give us that big move that I was hoping for. So then the next trade after that was NUKK. This was a stock on the running up scanner. So it was not hitting new high of day, but it was running up. And what it was doing was it was squeezing back up right here, right there. So as it was squeezing back up right there, I jumped in this, was looking for the breakthrough 7, and I got in basically right as it broke through VWAP. It broke through VWAP and I was adding 640, 650. It was squeezing higher. So as it's going higher, I'm adding to my position, but I'm also moving up my max loss of what I'm willing to lose. It ends up hitting 7. It can't break 7. Once again, whole dollar. And this is a triple top once, twice, and 3 times. So I sold the whole position and took $6,200 of profit off the table. All right, so now I'm up over $10,000 on the day. I'm moving in the right direction, and I've still got 100% accuracy. However, I'm not getting sort of the bigger winners that I had gotten yesterday at that same time. Next trade was STSS. This one was a little risky. Pops up on the scanner, and I jumped in at 11. There was a seller at 11, and it was pops up, hits 11. I add right there for the break of 11, so I'm in at 11. It does break. It goes up to a high of 11.52. I take my profit off the table. 10,000 shares, $2,900 of profit. So jumped in and out of that fairly quickly, and it rejected, which was a little bit disappointing. So that was the next trade. Close call, but was green. So then AIHS had that trade on the break of 4. So that was that final trade. And then SNTG. SNTG, this one pops up here, and it's a Chinese stock with no news. Initially hesitant on it. Makes this big move right here, then drops down, then comes back up, then drops down. And I got in right here. And this just ended up being a really nice trade on this squeeze through 520, 560, and the push up to $6. Took a bigger position on it. I liked the price. I felt like it had good range. Unfortunately, it didn't end up pulling away as much as I wanted it to, but $12,000 of profit. Okay, that's pretty good. So then the next trade after that was my first trade on TURB. But before we look at that, let's look at APVO. So APVO, this one squeezed up, and I got a really nice pullback on this one. So this one pops up here to a high of 320, dips down. We had a sort of a double bottom down there. I added off of 270, and it squeezes back up right there. That was a really solid trade for $7,000. Ends up going back up to 325 and a little higher. It was the double bottom that gave me the conviction to add right down there. And then we have the trades on TURB. So TURB currently up 180%. It's our leading gainer in the market. It's got this double top at $8 right now. Interestingly, the all-time high on this is $7.90. So look at the daily chart. You've got this double top formation. Now, this type of chart makes me a little nervous. On the one hand, I feel like it's a strong setup, and I'm going to grab a screenshot of it because I do like getting an example of a big double top like that. So this is the highest volume day the stock has ever had today. That's a big deal. But you can see it IPO'd, sold off hard, had a day here with news, sold off hard. Basically for the last 6 months, almost the last year, it's had no volume. And then suddenly today it has news. So a $53 million contract. That's breaking news, and suddenly it's spiking up. Now look at the level 2 here for a second. This is an apex point coming up right here at $8. However, this morning when it first squeezed up to 8, I noticed there were a lot of sellers. And I thought that was a little odd because it's got a relatively low float. And I didn't think a short seller would really feel confident shorting something that's nearly a blue sky setup, is the leading gainer on the day, and has news. That just seems too risky. So I thought, well, then who is selling? And I wondered if perhaps there's insiders who are selling, or if even the company is selling shares. Now, I'm not sure. There's a number of different possibilities, but my concern was that there were more sellers than I expected. So right there, do you see, I don't know if you saw that, you could rewind that video, 25,000 share seller at 817. That's exactly what happened earlier. It popped up, then it dropped, and then there was a big seller that kind of held it. And in that case, that big seller was at just under 8. So it held it from going higher. I like the setup. I like the stock. I want to keep trading it, but it's given me this feeling that I can't trust it because of the way it pops up and drops down. There are people selling. I don't know who. I don't know if it's shorts. I don't know if it's insiders. I don't know if it's the company. I don't know if it's institutions that got shares in the IPO and they're just like, well, look, this is at an all-time high. So think about it like that. You're an institution that got shares, picked up shares of this during the IPO, or maybe, maybe you're an insider that's had shares for a while, and the stock is coming all the way up to its all-time high. This is the range. This was the low side down at 70 cents. This is the high side at $8. And you've got a lot of volume today. This is the type of day that you would be selling. Now, it's possible. I suppose your best case scenario for a bullish case on this is that these sellers that we've seen so far finally finish selling. They're done selling. And shorts and so when they're done selling, the people that are holding this back, they're gone. So now the gate kind of opens up and it moves faster. And that now shorts have to cover and it pushes even higher. So, right there, obviously you can see we went from 8 to 9. I didn't trade it. It went without me. But was it the cleanest break of $8? And I would say it's not. It went up to a high of 840. It was right here. It went to 851. Then it dropped back down to 779. And now it's pulling away. And the halt level is 964. So will it be strong? Halt level moved up to 987. So this is going to be one of those days where I left some money on the table, but there's that seller that came back in. But you know what? I'm walking away with profit in my pocket. $50,000 more than I had at the beginning of the day. And I'd say that's a pretty solid morning. So I got to be grateful, got to keep perspective, got to stay grounded. You'll never capture every move. There's always going to be, more you could have done, coulda, woulda, shoulda. You could spend, your whole trading career looking in the rearview mirror. And it's good to look back. It's good to reflect. It's good to be able to sort of recognize what you could do better, just in terms of kind of like a little post-game, recap. But honestly, I don't feel, if I had taken that trade on the break of 7 or the break of 8, it went to 850 and then came all the way back down to 779. I probably would have stopped out. And then I would have been nervous adding back right here. And then it goes to 878. And then I might have added there for the break of 878 and then taken profit up here. But I don't know how much I would have really added because this stock has already given me reason to be cautious. And once a stock has, done that, it's sort of like it's a little tainted for the rest of the day. So that's where I'm going to finish the morning. It's a great day. My accuracy these last 3 days has been nearly 100%. I've had a couple trades where I was holding a position and I added higher and had to sell the shares I added a little bit lower, but it was part of an existing position. So at this point, I'm feeling great and I'm looking forward to tomorrow morning. So for those of you guys who haven't already checked out a 2-week trial, this seems like a very interesting market to be watching me trade in. We've got a lot of volatility. It's very exciting, but remember as always to practice in a simulator before you put real money on the line. So you could join your 2-week trial for $20. Link will be pinned to the top of the comments and in the description. I'll see you guys bright and early tomorrow morning, 7 a.m. And reminder as always, my results aren't typical. I've been doing this for a long time. So remember, easy come, easy go. Take it slow. There's no guarantee you'll find success, whether you trade with me or you learn on your own. So make sure you pay your dues and you practice in the simulator before putting real money on the line. All right, I'll see you guys bright and early tomorrow morning, 7 a.m. streaming.